heard the saying, well-behaved women rarely make history? Looking back here on years of evidence on how women have progressed from this role as like a homemaker to professional CEOs and the top businessmen, and how it has not been an easy journey for them. It's 2019, the pay gap between men and women. Women make 79 cents for every $1 that men make. That if you account for education, qualifications, time put into a company, all these like other external factors, a woman doing a job versus a man doing a job at a high level position, the women still make 98 cents to the dollar, which it doesn't sound like that bad. Like if you factor that 2 cents over years, you're looking at millions of dollars over a lifetime that a woman is left out on because exactly that, she's a woman. If you go back to square one, where everyone, you're fresh out of college, you're 20, 21 years old, whatever it is, men and women make the exact same amount of money in their 20s. It's like when you advance in your career, that's where this like gap starts to skew. So by your mid-career, where 30 and 44 is when they measured it, men were 47% would have managed to rise up that ladder to a management level or higher, where only 40% of women would. And then when you get to that next stage, age 45 and up, and we're talking about that like executive level position, 8% of men, which is still slow, but like not everyone gets to the top. That's how life is. There's a food chain, you know what I mean? 8% of men have made it to that top level executive position, and only 3% of women have. 3%. In the 50s, women were supposed to be all dainty and laugh and smile and not really carry their own opinion, and there was no opportunity for power. There was no opportunity to have like incredible careers that you could make money at. And then as we've progressed and we've realized that there's equality between the genders, why now 70 years later, like we still can't make the same amount of money? Doesn't make any sense. Women still face what we're going to call an opportunity gap, because they face way more structural barriers when trying to climb corporate ladders in the workplace. And women still, they have to have babies. And you can't really always work when you have a baby. 7.3% decrease in wages or opportunities to earn wages because they've taken more time away from work than what an equivalent men would have done in that same role. Or women of color or of a different ethnicity tend to fulfill those really low-paying jobs such as childcare and administration, where that kind of skews how much money women make versus how much money men make in general. Some of the top level paying jobs just don't have room for women to like infiltrate that barrier and make a way up there. And what are we going to do? Women still got to have babies. Men aren't going to start having babies anytime soon. They also experience what we're going to refer to as the predator tax. There was a study done by Dr. McLaughlin in 2012 that studied 1,000 men and women who had started at entry-level positions and in their 30s had advanced to a supervisor role, and are 138% more likely to experience some form of harassment at work by a male equal or superior. This is a scary statistic. Women who have experienced 2 or more episodes of sexual harassment, whether it be lewd comments or unwanted touching, are 80% likely to leave their jobs within 2 years of those incidents happening. So how are women who are trying to climb this corporate ladder and get to these executive positions able to do so if they have to keep leaving their job and then maybe starting over again? Harassment tax. But did you want to know a crazy stat within? This is going back all the way to 2002, a study by a company called Oppenheimer, and they found that a whopping 82% of women that held an executive level position at some point in their lives between junior high, high school, or post-secondary played a team sport. Mind-boggling. With adversity, the desire to win, relentlessness that you need, as discipline and time management to be able to go to school and play sports and do all these things, how they transfer and they actually make women more resilient to kind of overcoming all of those opportunity barriers that we're talking to be able to reach those top positions. This study was done in 2002, and think about the opportunities that women had to play sport in the 80s and 90s, because those are the women that by 2002 were executives, right? Now just think of where we're going to go now in the future, and all these young girls that are now growing up with this dream that if they want to be a pro athlete, they can do it because there's opportunities to do it now. But the opportunity still doesn't match where that wage gap is, but I have confidence that we are eventually going to get there, especially if we keep fighting for it. I guess my moral of the story is the gap hasn't made any exponential changes in the last 30 years. What's it going to take to make those changes? Well, it has to be something about the opportunities, because women consistently are facing these barriers and obstacles that are keeping them from being able to advance in their careers, in their business, in their life, and to get opportunity to make that top level dollar. And it takes a special kind of woman to get to that point, and I am so pumped and like cheering for all those boss babes that do. Until we as women learn how to rally together and fight for what we believe in and leverage our relationships, and basically stop apologizing. Be in a position where we're afraid to overassert ourselves or be underconfident in what our abilities are and what we deserve to. And I think at the end of the day, we have to ask for what we deserve. So if you're a huge sports fan like me, you will know that a couple years ago, the U.S. women's national soccer team filed a class action lawsuit against the U.S. Soccer Federation that they have discriminated against them based on their gender and that they're not being fairly compensated. They have this kind of whole equal rights, equal pay movement. The women's team, they've been playing a lot and they've been winning a lot, so they've been making money. The men's team, they're not internationally ranked, so they don't get to play, average out the salaries between all of the players. They're making pretty similar amounts. However, the women have played almost double the amount of matches. In sport, a lot of people say that like the men's sides are always going to make way more money than the women's side because it's a business model and you got to pay where what's getting the viewership and all this stuff. But the women's national soccer team have the most viewed soccer match in the history of the United States, the 2015 World Cup. They're bringing in more money. Why they're making less. So that's not adding up. It doesn't add up. Equal rights, equal pay. I really hope that this lawsuit gets resolved, and I think it will be a good setup for the future of not only women's sport, but the whole equal right, equal pay in the workforce as well. Go team.